President Biden issued an executive order on artificial intelligence. It requires developers to share safety test results with the government if those models pose a risk to the economy, public health, or homeland security. It also directs federal agencies to study AI's potential effect on the labor market. For more, I'm joined by Dewey Murdick. He is the executive director of the Center for Security and Emerging Technology at Georgetown University. Thank you so much for being with us. So let's just start at the beginning. What is the aim of this executive order?
Well, John, really appreciate the time to talk with you. As you're aware, AI is changing how we do business, how we govern, and how a lot of the implications of how we maintain even order. And I think the Biden administration has been watching, as well as the previous administration, on how this is changing our approach to how everyday business and governance and countries compete with each other. Because of that, that national security component, the Biden administration and Joe has taken the action to lay out an executive order to start calling out the national security components and actually start implementing ways where the U.S. can lead, and I think this is an important part, lead the world in how AI is being implemented, how it's being overseen, and making sure that it's safe and secure and used appropriately for the benefit of the American citizens.
So to emphasize that national security piece, I'm really intrigued by the fact that the president used the Defense Production Act. Why did he use that, and what does that allow him to do?
Yeah, so this is really interesting. Full disclosure, I'm not a lawyer, so there's some extra components here that legal scholars would add. But the use of the Defense Production Act is a strategic maneuver, in my opinion, where he needs to act to be able to safeguard the AI supply chain and be able to demonstrate and compel industry to act in a way that is important for national security. So it's one of the few tools the president has to be able to engage with industry in this way. I think it hasn't been used this way. So there's some risks, essentially, because there might be ways in which it's being used that might increase the ire of certain parties. But I think if it's used carefully, it provides some really interesting ways the president can actually move our nation into a safer place, be able to make sure that corporations consider key factors when they're developing it, when they're developing AI. There are national security elements that often aren't taken into account when corporations are trying to make money or do their normal business.
So, as I understand it, and get me back on the rails here if I go off them, the idea is companies that are working on generative AI run some tests, and they find in those tests that there might be a significant national security implication if it plays out, and that this Defense Production Act is the teeth that kind of compels them to turn those findings over to the government before the horse gets out of the barn, to add a metaphor.
Yeah, and I think it's not just turn them over to the government, but also make sure that critical supply chain that makes them possible is all, well, depending on the industry, is also taken into account. And I think bioweapons is one of the things that's called out specifically. Software vulnerabilities, the ability to use these AI tools to interfere with real and virtual events. These kinds of questions are really caught and should catch our attention as an American population. And I think he's trying to engage there.
And really quickly, Dewey, this is, there are companies who asked for some of these kinds of regulations. What about the really bad actors, the people who are going to use AI who don't operate in front of congressional hearings or in the sunlight?
No, I think these are really important characteristics. The U.S. government has a variety of techniques in the intelligence community, law enforcement, to try to go after the actors. The concern, I think, that's been driving this is corporations, in their eagerness to stay ahead of their competitors, might actually release tools that actually aren't wise to release, or they haven't tested them properly in that competitive urge. And I think that's really where they're trying to pull that back just a little bit.
That's really interesting. Dewey Murdick with the Center for Security and Emerging Technology. Thank you.
Thank you.